Welcome to today's 3-Minute Halacha. What is the right time to light Shabbat candles on Friday afternoon? The simple answer is before Shabbat. But how much before Shabbat? There are two issues at play. One, to make sure that it's enough before Shabbat that a person wouldn't make a mistake and by accident be a minute or two late and as a result violating Shabbat. But there's another question, and that is also the question of Tosefet Shabbat, of adding to Shabbat, which is also a mitzvah. Reb Moshe Feinstein was of the position in his Igrot Moshe Orach Chaim, the first volume, Siman Tzadi Vav, 96, that the established custom is to light Shabbat candles 20 minutes before the Shkia. However, growing up in Chicago, I remember, as do many others, that we used to light candles 18 minutes before the Shkia, before the sunset. Where does the 18 minutes come from? Rav Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal suggested that it's based on an opinion of the Yereim. The Sefer Yereim said that the night begins as early as 3/4 of a mil before sunset. 3/4 of a mil is a distance that a person would walk, which we interpret as being 18 minutes. As a result, according to the Yereim, the Shabbat begins 18 minutes before sunset, and we would light candles at that time to make sure that everything is set before Shabbat. In Yerushalayim, the custom is to light candles 40 minutes before the Shkia. So we now know the time before. But what about unusual circumstances? In pressing circumstances, you could actually light almost up until the time of Shkia. It's the Mishnah Berurah, Reish Samach Aleph, Siv Katan Chav Gimel. And if it's getting really late and a wife doesn't have time to light candles, her husband should light in her stead. However, how early can you light candles? Again, the accepted custom in most communities has become Reb Moshe's position of 20 minutes and not the 18 minutes many of us may remember. But how much earlier can you light? This is a question that arises when we make an early Shabbat in the summer months, and a person is by themselves and wants to light candles before they daven mincha in shul. How can they do it? Well, there is a problem. For example, this week, Plag Mincha, the earliest possible halachic definition of night, which is an hour and a quarter in halachic hours before sunset, Plag Mincha this week is at 4:57. How do we light before Plag Mincha if it can't possibly be night? The answer is that we, according to the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Samach Gimel, Sif Dalad, the earliest you can ever light is Plag Mincha, nothing earlier. But still, that presents the problem for a person making early Shabbat. As a result, there is a position of the Biur Halacha in Reish Samach Gimel, Dibur Matchil Kodem Halayla, who suggests that we're allowed to light candles as early as 2 hours before sunset. Therefore, making early Shabbat, you light 2 hours before, and about half hour later is when mincha would be, and everything is fine. Except Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach disagrees with this position, as he notes in his Shmirat Shabbat Gilchata. There is yet another position, and that was the position of Rabbi Aryeh Tzvi Framer, Hashem Yikom Damo, who was the Rosh Yeshiva in the Yeshiva of Chachmei Lublin before the war. He was murdered by the Nazis, Yamach Shemam, and in his response to Eretz HaTzvi, Kuf Yud Gimel, he suggests that the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch that a person cannot light Shabbat candles before Plag Mincha is only the ideal. But b'diavad, a person can actually accept Shabbat earlier, which seems to be hinted at as well in the Aruch HaShulchan in Siman Reish Samach Gimel Seif Yud. So the earliest typically is Plag Mincha. The latest is a few minutes before Shkia. The ideal, depending on the community, can be 40 minutes in Yerushalayim, 20 minutes in most of America today, and some communities still preserve the 18 minutes before Shkia rule.